Hi students, very good morning to all. I hope you are all fine and I hope you are going through the NCERT textbooks that we have discussed in previous classes. So far we are discussing so many concepts. We are in chapter 2 and this is part 4 and students, I kindly request you to make the notes from the video class. So it may be differ from the NCERT textbook. So you just make the notes onto your classwork and by using that you have to start to study. So next in this session we are going to discuss about the potential energy in external electric field. So far we are discussing the potential and potential energy of charges, dipoles and system of charges between them. So here we are going to on the external electric field. So first thing is the for a single charge. So a charge in the external electric field, what will be the potential energy of that particle? We know the formula definition for potential energy of a particle. So it is simply the work done to bringing the charge from infinity to particular point at the electric field of externally applied. So that is called the potential energy of the particle. So for bringing the infinity to particular point whose position is r, from the distance r from the origin. So by using that we can calculate the potential energy of the given particles. Here the particle is q whose position is r. So in order to bring the charge from infinity to this point r, we have to do some work against the external electric field. That work is called potential energy of particle at this point. So we know the formula, simple formula, q into v, where q is the taken charge, v is the potential at that point. So this is the potential due to the external electric field. So previously no charges. So this is the first charge that we are bringing. So the charge is q and the potential at this point due to the electric field will be v of r. At the position of r, the potential will be v of r. So total work done, we know the formula, work done equal to qv or potential equal to v w by q. We know that formula. So by using that, the potential energy of a single charge we can write q into v or qvr. So for any particle we can apply this formula. So for using this we can apply for electron. If an electron is accelerated by 1 volt potential difference, that is del V equal to 1 volt, and charge of the one electron equal to, we know q is equal to E. Here q is equal to E, charge of electron, whose value is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. So by multiplying both to V and q, we obtain potential energy of the electron at the 1 volt potential difference, 1.6 into 10 power 19 joule, multiplying by what gives same result. So 1.6 into 10 power 19 joule. So this is the energy of the electron in 1 volt potential difference. So this is also termed as 1 electron volt. So because only 1 electron is taken and accelerated by 1 volt potential, so this energy is called 1 electron volt. That is 1 electron volt equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 joule. So you imagine how much this amount of energy, minus 19, 10 power minus 19 joule. So electron volt is a very less, that is microscopic level of energy. So it is applicable only for the fundamental particles like electrons, neutrons. So in particles, and joule is the macroscopic unit. So similarly we can write mega electron volt, giga electron volt. We know mega means 10 power 6. So electron volt, which gives the value 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. So multiplying both we can obtain 1 mega volt electron volt, giga electron volt and tera electron volt. Tera means 10 to the power 12 electron volt. So as a common we are using only electron volt, the term electron volt for the fundamental particles. So qv, potential energy equal to qv, that's all. So this is the potential energy of the particle or single charge in the external electric field. Next we move to system of two charges. Here one charge, here system of two charges. For that initially we have to take one charge and second charge we can be taken. For initially for first charge, the same formula, the work done equal to, here the two charges are there. So first charge is q1, second charge is q2. So we can write for first charge the work done equal to q1 of V of r1, because q1 is the charge of the first charge and V is the potential due to the electric field. R1 is the position of the charge q1. So simply we can write qv. This is the work done for bringing the first charge from infinity to particular point of the external electric field. So, that is called potential energy for first particle. So, next we assume the second particle, second charge, the Q2, whose position is R2. These positions are with respect to the origin. The origin we no need to take. So, R2 is the position of Q2. Q2 is the magnitude of the charge Q2. So, now taking this second charge, we have to do work against two things. First thing is against the external electric field, against the external electric field, and also against the first charge. So, we have to do two work. So, that is the total work done. So, for the second charge, work done equal to written as combination of external electric field and due to the first charge. For external electric field can be written as Q2 into V of R2, where Q2 is the second charge and V of R2 is the potential due to external electric field. The second term is the work done due to first charge, against the first charge. So, in this case Q2 is the second charge, V1 of R2 is potential due to the Q1 first charge due to external electric field, and this is the potential due to first charge V1. So, that is why we are writing V is the potential due to external electric field and V1 is the potential due to first charge. So, this can be written as work done due to second against the first charge can be written as Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught R12. This is potential of first charge, the Q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught R12. So, commonly we can write like this. So, after getting second charge, total work done of the system of two charges, the combination of W1 and W2. So, adding the both two cases we can obtain this formula. So, this is the work done of bringing two charges against the electric field, total work done. It is called the potential energy of the system of two charges. So, can be written as U equal to Q1 V of R1. So, this is due to first charge against the electric field and Q2 V of R2. So, this is the work done of second charge due to external field and Q1 Q2 by 4 pi epsilon naught R12. So, this is the work done due to the second charge between the two charges, the potential between the two charges. So, commonly we can write. So, in this way we can add more number of charges. If you take the third charge, we have to calculate work done. So, here against the electric field and against the potential due to first two charges. So, in this way we can add up any number of charges, we can find out the total work done of the systems. So, next we move to for dipole. Third case is for dipole, the potential energy of the dipole in external electric field. So, minus q and plus q, two equal and opposite charges separated by a small distance a plus a 2a is called a dipole, and when it is placed in a external electric field E, whose direction is so horizontally in x direction. So, if electric field is applied, then any charged particle will experience some force, electrostatic force. Here equal and opposite charges. So, the positive charge will experience the force along the positive x direction and minus q is the opposite direction. So, there is a torque will be there. If two equal and opposite charges are there, that is called torque. So, the torque can be written as torque of the dipole, tau is equal to Pe. So, already calculated in the first lesson, where P is the dipole moment whose value is q into 2a and E is the electric field applied. So, totally P cross E, it is a cross product. So, we can write Pe sin theta. So, this is the torque, and in order to find out the work done for moving the dipole from one position to another position, we have to take the work done integral the initial position theta naught to final position theta 1. Here displacement is theta, and the force work done formula we know, the force into displacement, here torque into displacement. So, angular displacement and torque. So, torque can be written as Pe sin theta into d theta. So, by integrating this formula, we know integrating sin theta which will give minus cos theta. So, applying the values of limits theta 1 theta naught, we can get minus cos theta 1 minus of minus cos theta naught. So we are simplifying, rearranging these two, we can write cos theta naught minus cos theta 1. So this is the formula for potential energy for general. So in case suppose we are assuming the potential energy is 0 at the position of theta equal to 90 degree. So always we are taking the charge from potential 0 to some particular point. So the same way here we are assuming the potential energy is 0 at theta equal to 90 degree, that is theta equal to pi by 2, that is taken as initial point, and final point will be theta, some any angle theta. So theta 1 equal to theta. So by applying these limits here we can write Pe cos theta naught equal to pi by 2 minus cos theta. We know the cos pi by 2, cos 90 degree equal to 0. So this will destroy and only this will come. So minus Pe cos theta. So this is the work done bringing the dipole from one position to another position. So it is stored as the energy of the dipole in the electric field. So U of theta is the potential energy equal to minus Pe cos theta. We know this is the cos theta. So we can write dot product of P and E. So minus P vector dot E vector. So this is the potential energy of the dipole. So we compare these three things for single charge, for system of two charges, and for dipole. We obtain the potential energy in an external electric field. So conclude and compare all three formulae and you conclude by using it, you study. Next we move to electrostatics of conductors. So the miscellaneous topic, electrostatics of conductors. So usually we are studying about the conductors, means metallic conductors, solid conductors, electrolytic conductors, liquids and some gases also will be acting as the conductors. But for the practical purpose we are considering only the metallic conductors, metallic solid conductors. So in the metallic solid conductors we know there is a large number of free electrons are there. These free electrons are responsible for the electrical conduction. They move randomly in all directions. So we can say there is no electric field inside the metallic conductor. There is no net electric field because the electrons are randomly moving all directions. So we can say there is no electric field inside the metallic conductor. So electric field inside a conductor always equal to 0, E equal to 0, whether it is a neutral or whether it may be charged. So the electric field always 0. If you consider the neutral one, so normal material, if you consider it is a metal, the electrons moving randomly in all directions. So there is no net electric field at any point inside the electric field. If it is charged means if you are applying the same number of charges on the surfaces, so it can cancel inside at any point, the field due to charges will be cancelled and finally E equal to 0 at all points for the charged conductors. So anyway it may be neutral or charged, E equal to 0 inside the conductor, not outside, only inside the conductor. So the second one is the at surface of the charged conductor. If you consider the charged conductor means if you positively charged conductor, so it has some charge configuration at surface. So at surface of the charged conductor, E is normal to the surface at any point. The electric field direction is always normal. So if the charges are there, so electric field is produced. The field at any point is always normal to the surface of the conductor. So this is the second point. And third point is in interior no excess charge. The excess charge resides only on surface. If you conductor is charged, if a metallic conductor is charged, which means they have some charges on its surface. So here the excess charges always resides in the surface only, not inside. There is no excess charge inside the conductor, only resides on the surface only. So this is the third point. So we know the Gauss law. So the electric flux inside the conductor will be 0, which means already told E equal to 0. If E equal to 0 means pi also 0. The electric flux will be also 0. At the same time, if electric flux means 0 means the charge inside the conductor will be 0. So that is the point here. So always the charges, excess charges reside only on the surface, no inside the conductor. And fourth point is inside a conductor V equal to constant, potential equal to constants, already we have discussed in the previous lesson. So inside a metallic conductor E equal to 0, at the same time V equal to constant, V naught equal to, that is constant. So this is very very important. If E equal to 0 means there is a no potential difference inside the conductor at between the points. So there is a no work done for bringing a charge from one point to another point, even there is no charge inside the conductor. So there is a no need of work done and there is no need of potential difference and potential energy difference, which means potential inside the conductor is constant. E equal to 0, Q equal to 0 and V equal to constant. Fifth one is the electric field at surface. So the electric field at the point of surface not 0, only inside will be 0. At the surface we can write that pi equal to Q by epsilon naught, charge by epsilon naught, and pi we can write it is a electric field and surface vector EDS. We know the electric flux definition now, pi equal to EDS cos theta or E dot ds, E dot ds. So we can replace pi E dot ds and replacing Q, Q is the charge, can be written as surface charge density into surface, where now sigma is equal to Q by surface, that is del S. So which can give Q is equal to sigma into del S. So divided by epsilon naught. So this del S cancelled. So E equal to sigma by epsilon naught. The last one thing is the electrostatic shielding. Here you assume a cavity of a conductor. So this is a metallic conductor. So inside there is a cavity. Cavity means you know the some free space inside the conductor. So we know the first point, electric field equal to 0. The electric field inside the conductor will be 0. So also the inside the cavity, where we assume the cavity inside the metallic conductor. So inside the metallic conductor electric field equal to 0. The same thing also inside the cavity electric field equal to 0 and there is no charges, excess charges inside the cavity, which means the charge excess charges always on the surface of the conductors, not inside. So Q equal to 0, which means charge density rho equal to 0. Here rho is the volume charge density. So the charges in the particular volume of the cavity equal to 0, and another point is potential equal to constant. So some potential V naught is there and it is called constant throughout the conductor. So for cavity and inside the conductor will be same. So we can write due to the electric field is 0 inside the cavity. So the charges or materials or space inside the cavity will be secured, will be shielded from the influence of other electric field outside the conductor. So this is called electrostatic shielding. So this is the one of the very important result of the electrostatics in conductors. So students, you refer the page number in your NCERT book 64 to 70 for this today video session and make notes by using this video and copy to your classwork. And for you can do the examples from 2.1 to 2.7. Go to the exercise also as you can. Thank you students.